Hi, welcome to Charleston Forge. My name's Jimmy and I'm the cutting and forging supervisor. And this is where all the magic happens. Here at Charleston Forge, we make one-of-a-kind, handcrafted, made in the U.S. Furniture. This is where we receive all of our raw materials, which comes from Hickory, North Carolina. And at that point, it goes to one of the 6 saws, and then it'll get cut into various different sizes and lengths. And at that point, it'll either go straight to welding and or forging.
Thanks, Jimmy. Let's take a walk over to forging here, where things really start to heat up. We're Charleston Forge, and we make a variety of different styles of furniture. If it's a simple linear item, those pieces and parts that Jimmy's crew has cut for us might go right to welding. But as I said, we're Charleston Forge, so we like to heat and beat up that metal and give you something extra special. Over here, we're in our Forge 3 department. In Forge 3, we do a lot of bending. You can see the jigs on the walls that we use to make parts of the furniture consistent. You can see hot steel being heated in the forge, bent and flattened. Every piece needs to be made very accurately, but every piece is also made by a set of hands and is going to be unique. Hey Wilson, how hot is the steel that they're forging here?
All right, so this is mild steel. It goes into the forge and gets heated up to about 1800 degrees, which is really hot if you consider the melting temperature of aluminum is about 1200 degrees. Stuff gets really hot, comes out of the forge, and is manipulated in a variety of ways, whether it's around a jig or put into one of the hammers.
How do the blacksmiths over here know when a piece of steel is ready to be forged?
Well, I guess for every process it's different. Some of the textures we have use more of a kind of a cold hammer, while others need to be red hot before they are manipulated into the particular shape. So for right now, you can see these guys are bending an elliptical shape, which requires the steel to be pretty hot when it comes out, but as it cools down, it has a little bit of a spring back to it, so really it's depending on the piece, the part, and the jig that's being used. Is a piece of steel being manipulated on one of our big blue hammers. This hammer has a 155-pound ram that comes down into a 1,000-pound anvil. Quite different from some of the more traditional blacksmithing techniques that you're familiar with.
So I know Charleston Forge has been around for nearly 40 years, but blacksmithing has been around for thousands of years.
That's right. So the art of blacksmithing has been around, like you say, for 1,000 years or so. And really that process hasn't changed. We're basically taking steel, heating it up red hot, and then manipulating it with a hammer or a jig of some sort. So really that kind of artisanal craft is the same as it's always been. We're just utilizing different tools in order to kind of push the boundaries of what is possible with modern forging.
Let's take a look at some of the shapes and different legs we have here.
Good idea. All right, so like I said, we're doing kind of the similar processes of traditional blacksmithing, but with the tools that we have, we're able to do things differently. So, for example, this one, we've got a really nice linear kind of traditional texture on it. And then over here, something a much smoother texture, much more symmetrical, straight line and clean.
So you can use the blacksmithing technique to get a rustic look or a more clean or contemporary look, but they're all made by hand, right?
Absolutely. And I say that we do a lot of stuff using new tools and technology, but we also continue to use some of those traditional techniques. I mean, for example, we still use anvils, we still use hammers, we straighten everything by hand. So although we run everything through these machines, we still have to finish everything off by hand.
Looks like hard work.
It is not easy.
So I can see we have a lot of different pieces and parts being made, all being made by the forging process, but obviously they're very different. A very large piece being heated there.
And it's kind of hard to tell too, but each hammer has its own special die. And that die creates a different texture based on that die pattern.
So here is the part in our process where the pieces and parts have been built, and now this single piece of furniture starts to come together. We have pieces that have gone through forging, or they may have simply been sawn to length, but one of our welders is going to assemble the piece, and you'll see it start to come to life.
So, Andy, maybe you can kind of shed some light on the carts that we have going through, the pieces that are on these carts. These are all built to order, correct?
That's right. Every piece that we make is made for an individual. So there's no product that's being built to go sit on a warehouse shelf. It is made exactly to the customer's specifications. It will go in the metal finish and the wood finish that they want. Every piece is built by a set of hands for a specific person. You can see here our welders putting together some benches, part of our K skeleton collection. They're working on a large flat table which is cast and machined to be perfectly flat. And that's important obviously because you want your furniture to sit completely flat on the floor.
So everything's built to order, made by the fabricators right here, just steps away from the engineering office too. So there's an element of control, element of quality, communication that goes into each and every piece, not something that's built overseas.
Exactly. There's no robotic equipment pumping out parts. There's no fast-paced, repetitive production lines. Everything is made by hand. And the wonderful thing about Charleston Forge is, as you said, every bit of our operation is under one roof. Your design department can come up with an idea for a new product, and that same day you can have it built out here on the shop floor, correct?
That's right. It's quite a privilege from a design perspective to be able to work directly with our craftsmen.
So this is a really cool operation to see. There's a lot of sparks flying here. What are these folks doing?
So this is the grinding area. This is where our guys will take our hand fabricated frames and smooth out some of the natural imperfections that come from welding. They're grinding, they're brushing the steel, and really just kind of massaging these pieces before they go into hand paint, or before they go into paint.
This is an important step, isn't it?
It is, and it's also often overlooked. one of the most difficult steps in the process, because these guys really have to have some control over their hands, kind of have that artistic ability to really massage these pieces of metal and make them look good for the customer.
Here's one of those prototype pieces that everybody's going to get a sneak peek at.
That's right. Yeah. So new prototype for this market where everybody's really excited about it.
So here we'll start walking through our metal finishing operation. This is our powder coat operation. Wilson, can you tell us a little bit about why we use powder coat finishes?
Yeah, absolutely. So when most people think about a powder coat, they think of it being applied to in really robust environments, such as military vehicles or bumpers and things that require some serious protection. We utilize powder coating because it provides superior longevity and protection that really goes along with kind of that heirloom quality of furniture that we want our customers to pass along generation to generation. So I guess it's gone through the preheating oven into powder coating and then into the final oven, which I believe is 350 degrees, something like that.
It looks like a couple of best-selling Emmett chairs coming
yes.
off the line. Here's the curing oven for the powder coat paints. This is a toasty 370 degrees, which is turning that dry powder into a liquid. And then once the furniture comes out and has a chance to cool, it's ready to go into a box.
And it's actually curing to the surface of the metal, correct?
Correct. It's a very strong bond, a very thick coating. As we walk through here, we'll see a few pieces that have gone through the powder coating process that are ready to go right into assembly. You can see how convenient it is to do that powder coat process because it can not only be great protection, but it also is very quick. In addition to doing the single step paints though, Charleston Forge also does some really special hand painted finishes on metal. And that's what we'll see happening over here, where we will start out with that great durable powder coat finish, but then we'll go on top to add a hand painted effect. And there's a number of those finishes in the line, and they really do a lot to add depth and color to the metal finishes, especially when you have a nice textured piece like this Omega bed.
So I guess every piece, kind of has its own way of playing with the hand paint, like you say, with texture.
Absolutely.
That hand paint kind of gets hung up in some of the texture quality of the metal and really takes it to the next step.
Exactly. That scaling from the process of forging really stands out. So it looks like we're coming around the bend here to the wood finishing operation. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening back here?
Sure. So we get all of our wooden panels that come in. We finish everything in-house. So we have a variety of different finishes and finish applications that we apply to our species, which currently are maple, walnut, and then we have an upcoming clear ash as well.
What about customization? I see that there's some standard finishes being used. What if a customer needs a custom finish?
Yeah, so we will occasionally get a request for custom finish. Whether that's metal or wood, we typically receive a swatch to match, and we will do our best to match that finish and make it look better and send it back to the customer for approval and supply them with a finish of their choice.
Wonderful. I see we've got a few tops here. Looks like they're in the final stages. You can see that oak that you mentioned and maple, and then clear coat walnut. This is a really great example of using a protective finish but keeping all the beauty in the wood.
Yeah, we're really excited to bring on walnut a couple of years ago. It's an American product that we're It's gorgeous. Looks really
That's
good.
Well, let's continue here. We'll take a few steps farther down the line as we move a little bit closer to our final assembly process. We'll stop here and we see some upholstery being cut. Looks like Brian is cutting a leather pattern for a bench or an ottoman. Can you tell me a little bit about the leathers that Charleston Forge uses, and what about COM? Do you do anything with customers' material?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a full COM program, and as I mentioned earlier, we're kind of willing to do whatever the customer would like in terms of customization. The leathers that we have is somewhat of a new leather assortment for us. It's all Krypton.
Krypton protection.
Krypton protection in the leather.
Great.
So really high quality, high end assortment of leathers that provide that commercial level of protection.
Cool to see the hand cutting application. One more example of hand done work, right?
Absolutely. So, assembly area, we've got our finished tops. What happens here?
So this is where everything comes together. So we have the wooden tops and the metal bases being combined, glass tops coming together with bases. We also have upholstery coming together with bases. This is a great place to see all the different combinations of finishes and fabrics being used. As we said earlier, everything is made for a customer, so there are very few pieces that are alike for that reason.
And I noticed there's kind of an interesting table over there that looks like a completely custom piece, not related to the Charleston Forge product line.
Probably so. Everything we do can be completely customized in shape and size. We can work from a napkin sketch. I know that you've got a wonderful team of product designers that help people bring their dreams to life through the custom process and doing custom CAD drawings, so everybody's on the same page and there's no surprises. About how much of the work that goes through our factory is custom right now?
That is a good question. Perhaps you can answer that one.
Last I knew it was about 30%.
30%,
so let's
there
hope
you
that
go.
number still holds.
Yeah, we have a good time kind of playing around with the custom stuff that comes in. You know, being on the creative side of things and working with, some of those creative tools with a full engineering office. It really is fun to kind of make those customer dreams come true. And really have them as part of the process along the way, using our tools such as rendering and CAD modeling and all that stuff to kind of help them play a part in that process and really make sure that what they're getting is what they want for themselves and their clients.
So furniture making is definitely a very old craft, but it sounds like you're using some pretty modern tools to make it happen.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So here we've got a few upholstered pieces coming together, headboards for our beds. We have a number of bar stools in here, and then one of the really nice benefits of our boxing operation is that we have a automated custom carton maker, which may not be as exciting as the furniture, but it does help get the furniture into your home in one piece. Well, let's go keep walking through, and we'll take a few steps into our shipping department, and then we'll head back to the office.
Sounds good.
Well, this is probably the last stop on the tour. I can see there's a number of boxes staged here. Those are ready to go out the door. And let's head back.
All right.